Thank you. Firstly, thanks for having us here. This is my second ever Meet the Candidate session being. This is the first year I've stood up, and I have to say it's very different from last night where we had elephants, water pistols and all sorts of creativity going on. Not in any way implying that there isn't creativity, but it's subtler, I have to say. Very quickly, I'm going to try and do two things. Quickly introduce myself, and B, get as many policy comments out as I can, perhaps unlike some of the previous speakers. I'm a business owner here in Wellington. I'm self-employed. I've got a cafe in central Wellington called Smith the Grocer. Smith the Grocer.
Oh,
yeah, good. Hope you've been there, Michael. I'll talk later if you haven't. We've been around for about 10 years. I also own and operate the Village Accommodation Group, which is a sort of corporate apartment-style accommodation offering in central Wellington. I've been self-employed pretty much most of my life, 20 years at least, and 14 years of those here in Wellington in some way or form. That's enough about me. It is about policies that you're wanting to hear about. The most topical one I would suggest tonight, and I'm sure we'll get lots of questions, so I'll keep mine brief, and I'm sure you can ask me more questions about it later, is transport infrastructure. So bullet pointed with some detail around it. Do I support the light rail concept? Look, I absolutely support the need for Golden Mile up through Newtown, through Kilburnie, onto the airport. We need to give some sort of public transport through that. Is it light rail? Quite possibly. I come from Melbourne and I have great feelings about light rail tramways. Both from as a teenager, they were just public transport. But as a visitor who goes back to Melbourne on a regular basis, I now realise the visitor impact it has in creating uniqueness. It creates uniqueness for Melbourne, and I think Wellington is unique, and we possibly could add to that with some sort of light rail facility there. I will say though, I've got an element attached to that. We are not going to do it unless we get some sort of funding partnerships. Wellington City Council isn't going to be able to afford this by themselves, so it has to be Greater Wellington, it has to be central government, and it has to be private enterprise. We need to be talking to the airport and other places to put some money where their mouth is. So if we are going to have that corridor of public transport extended, then it's going to be with a whole lot of help. In regard to roads and cars, look, they're not going anywhere. We're going to have cars, we need to look after them, and we need to get the through traffic moving. In regard to the tunnels and the flyover, we don't have an awful lot to say, but on City Council we can at least jump up and down if we are there, remembering that the majority of that sits with a separate entity. I have to agree with Chris on those points. The flyover is a joke, there's a better way of doing that, but I can't come up with another option other than a second tunnel. And I'm sure they're out there, but the public transport option through Newtown and Kilburnie isn't a standalone option. We need to do more than that if we're going to deal with the car issues as well as the public transport issues. I'm sure there's more about transport, and I'm sure it'll be a topical subject once everyone else has had a go here. So I've got a few other things. Wellington Innovation, as I said, I come from small business. Small businesses, look, the way to get started in small business, it takes an awful lot of energy and an awful lot of support from people around you. Wellington has an opportunity to create a small business innovation friendly city. And I guess what I mean by that is if we can attract businesses that are looking at creating new business and starting from scratch and getting new ideas that they want to take out to the world, to New Zealand and the world, then I think Wellington has an opportunity to be the base for that. And Wellington City Council's role in that is to head up some 1 minute, okay, head up some opportunities to bring commercial property owners, investors, etc. together and promote the fact that we're an innovative city to the outside. I'll skip the next one because I'm going to run out of time. My last one and the key one for me is councillor accountability. Not council accountability, not that I don't think that's important, but councillor accountability. When you work in small business or any business as an employee, you are regularly assessed. You have assessments done by your employer, you have key performance indicators, you have all sorts of things that assess you on a regular basis. What councillors get, at the end of 3 years, the media assess whether they did a good job or not. We need to create some key performance indicators that assess councillors individually on an annual basis that's created by this community and assessed by this community. I'll finish on that. I'm sure there's going to be a whole lot of questions. Thank you very much for listening.